Have you noticed this subtle shift? The moment you begin to change, not talk about it, but really change, something strange happens. People around you grow uneasy. They won't say it directly. Instead, they'll make little jokes, offer advice that feels more like warning, or simply go silent when you speak your truth. But make no mistake, it's not about what you said. It's about what you're becoming. Because every time you step out of the script, you remind others they're still stuck in it. Your growth highlights their stagnation. Your clarity threatens their comfort. And comfort is sacred to the average mind. This discomfort is not personal, it's psychological. People don't resist your transformation because it's wrong. They resist it because it forces them to confront a truth they've been avoiding, that they've been living on autopilot. And here's where it gets deeper. You're not just shifting habits. You're building a mind that no longer needs external permission to think, feel, or act. A mind that doesn't bend to shallow trends or crowd-pleasing illusions. A mind that challenges the very systems others rely on to feel secure. And that is terrifying. Not because you've become dangerous in the traditional sense, but because you've become independent. Independent of their validation, their approval, their silent rules. Nietzsche understood this before most. He believed that once you stop seeking comfort and start creating meaning on your own terms, you become a force, not just to others, but to your former self. And that's what no one warns you about. Growth isn't just lonely, it's destabilizing. You begin to feel misunderstood, misplaced, judged. Not because you're wrong, but because you're different now. And the stronger your mind becomes, the more the old world stops fitting. But here's the beauty hiding behind the discomfort. This is the price of real transformation. Not cheap motivation, not surface-level change, but the deep, internal restructuring of a mind that can no longer be manipulated. You've begun to rewrite the rules, and others can feel it, even if they can't name it. So if you're experiencing resistance from people around you, if you feel like your voice is suddenly too loud, or your silence too heavy, it means you're doing something right, because the truly powerful mind doesn't need to explain itself. It simply becomes a mirror, and not everyone is ready to see their reflection. True strength does not come from peace. That's one of the hardest truths to accept, especially in a world obsessed with comfort. But Nietzsche saw it with piercing clarity. Growth doesn't happen in stability. It begins when everything starts to fall apart. You don't build a resilient mind by avoiding difficulty. You build it when you walk directly into it, when you stop begging for life to be easier, and instead start demanding that you become stronger. Think back to your moments of real transformation. Were they during calm, predictable times? Or did they begin with heartbreak, failure, betrayal, the kind of moments that leave you shattered, questioning everything? Nietzsche wrote, "One must still have chaos within to give birth to a dancing star." That's not poetry, that's psychology. Chaos is not the enemy, it's the raw material of awakening, because inside chaos, you're forced to confront yourself. There's no script to follow, no mask to wear, no audience to perform for, just you, stripped of roles, expectations, and false comforts. And that's where true power begins. But make no mistake, this path isn't easy. You'll feel lost. You'll question your worth. You'll wonder if the pain is even worth it. And yet, If you endure it, not run from it, not numb it, not disguise it, but stay with it, something rare begins to form inside you. A self that cannot be faked. A strength that doesn't depend on applause. A mind that can't be broken by other people's noise. Nietzsche didn't glorify suffering. He used it. He treated pain not as punishment, but as preparation for something higher, something sovereign, because pain, when faced with awareness, burns away the unnecessary. It exposes who you're not, and it forces you to choose who you want to become. And that's why the world starts to feel threatened, because while others run from discomfort, you begin to walk through it. While most beg for normalcy, you begin to build greatness. But here's the paradox. Chaos alone isn't enough. Without an anchor, it will destroy you. That's why Nietzsche pushed further, not just to face chaos, but to own it. To take full responsibility for what you become. To stop waiting for rescue, and start becoming your own foundation. And that's what we'll explore next. What happens when you no longer look upward for answers, but inward. When you stop waiting for meaning to be handed to you, and begin to create it yourself. Because the death of illusions is not the end, it's the beginning of something terrifying and absolutely free. Once you stop looking for someone to save you, you begin to realize you've been the creator all along. That's the moment Nietzsche believed everything changes. Not because the world around you has shifted, but because you have accepted a truth most spend their whole lives avoiding. No one is coming, no divine plan, no pre-written purpose, no invisible script. Just you facing reality without excuses. This is what Nietzsche meant when he said, God is dead. It wasn't celebration, it was confrontation. He wasn't attacking faith, he was dismantling illusion. He was stripping away the comfort of external authority, so that the individual could finally rise. Because when you let go of the idea that someone else will give your life meaning, you reclaim the power to write that meaning yourself. But with that freedom comes weight. No more absolution, no more blame, no more rescue. You are responsible entirely. And that is terrifying for most, because it means that every moment, every decision, every belief is now in your hands. There's no one to blame, no system to hide behind. But here's the paradox. Nietzsche loved. This terrifying freedom is also your greatest power, because the moment you stop outsourcing meaning, you stop giving away your mind. And that's where something entirely new can be born. A mind that doesn't conform, doesn't perform, and doesn't apologize. A mind that's sovereign, grounded, untouchable. Nietzsche called this being the Übermensch, the overman, but don't mistake this for a superhero or idealized figure. The overman is not someone with powers. It's someone who has claimed authority over themselves. Someone who creates values rather than borrows them. Someone who doesn't ask, is this acceptable? But instead asks, is this worthy of who I'm becoming? And that shift, it's what separates the ordinary from the unbreakable. The overman doesn't adapt to the world. He shapes the world in his image. Not through force, but through presence. Because when your mind is no longer seeking permission, when your thoughts no longer tremble at the weight of rejection, when your silence says more than most people's words, you've already won a war most haven't realized they're fighting. But becoming this version of yourself, it comes with a price. You'll have to destroy parts of you that still crave approval, You'll have to grieve identities that were built to be liked. You'll have to walk alone often, and you'll be misunderstood, because society doesn't know what to do with someone who can't be shamed into submission. But Nietzsche knew that kind of freedom, the kind that no one can give you, and no one can take, is worth everything, and that's what we'll explore next. The silence of the strong, the solitude that breaks most people, and for a few, becomes their final transformation. There's a truth about strength that no one tells you. The stronger you become, the lonelier it gets. Not because you've changed into someone cold or distant, but because the world no longer knows what to do with you. You no longer fit the mold. You no longer seek approval, and that makes people uncomfortable. Nietzsche saw this clearly. He wrote that the one who breaks from the herd, the free spirites, not rejected because they are wrong. They're rejected because they no longer play by invisible rules, and it hurts. The deeper your mind grows, the fewer people can meet you there. The more honest you become, the more others fall silent. Not because you've turned away, but because you've stopped pretending. You've stopped laughing at what isn't funny. Stopped nodding when you don't agree. Stopped shrinking so others feel tall. And that silence, the one you've chosen, as deafening to those still performing. But here's the thing. Real growth requires space, and space often requires solitude. You can't evolve while clinging to comfort. You can't become whole while being defined by others' expectations. That's why Nietzsche didn't romanticize loneliness, he honored it. He called it a battlefield, a sacred place where the real self begins to emerge. Because, in solitude, you're not just alone with your thoughts, you're alone with your truth. And it's there, in the absence of noise, validation, or distraction, that your true power begins to crystallize. But solitude comes with a cost. You'll be misunderstood, labeled difficult, arrogant, cold. People will try to pull you back into the roles you once played, because your transformation threatens their stability. But if you retreat, if you water yourself down to be liked again, you'll lose the very thing you fought so hard to build, your sovereignty. Because that's what this has always been about. Not fame, not praise, not even success. It's about reclaiming yourself, and that's why Nietzsche's final warning is this. If you cannot bear solitude, you are not ready for freedom. Freedom isn't just the absence of chains, it's the presence of self. And that presence will disturb people. You'll no longer be the mirror that reflects who they wish they were. You'll be the reminder of what they've avoided becoming, and they won't thank you for it, but you won't need them to, because by then your silence will speak louder than their noise. Your presence will command more than their performances, and your mind, unbreakable, self-owned, sovereign, will no longer need to explain itself. So now the choice is yours. You can go back, fit in, be liked, be safe, or you can continue forward, be misunderstood, be feared, but finally, be free.